time to answer.
On 107.9 FM and online, this is GTFM then on this Thursday afternoon. And there was the GTFM Ponty Market double play at 1:35. First of all, it was The Weekend and Blinding Lights. And there was Freya Ridings, love that song, and Love is Fire. As I mentioned then a couple of minutes ago, joined by two very special guests this afternoon. It's Time to Talk Day, and from the Mind Charity in Merthyr Tydfil, joined this afternoon by Julian, John and Wendy Mackay. Good afternoon, both.
Good afternoon, Gareth.
Yeah, oh, that was poetic. right at the same time. Brilliant stuff. So it is Time to Talk Day.
Yeah.
So what's it all about?
Well, Time to Talk Day is one of the biggest days in the calendar for mental health services, and Time to Talk Day is about promoting the
encouraging people to talk.
That's it, Wendy. Yeah. I just can't do it today.
Yeah. We'll get that sorted, don't you worry, I'll sort of edge you along. So that's the idea then, is encouraging people, not necessarily I guess with mental health issues, but to talk to people who maybe have and engage a conversation.
Yeah, I think the message for us today is to just, come and promote Time to Talk Day and encourage people to talk about their mental health, because at Mind, we believe that having an open conversation encourages people to listen and break down those barriers for people experiencing mental health problems.
Yeah, Wendy?
Okay, yeah, so we're looking at everyone, and we're talking about the community and we're talking about work, but it is awareness that in work it's 1 in 4, well 1 in 4 experience mental health, in work 1 in 6 experience mental health problems. It's one of the leading causes of sickness in the workplace.
Because you mentioned that a couple of weeks ago when you came in, didn't you?
So it's very important for employers to take that on board and kind of look at how they can introduce more kind of well-being in their workplace, getting people to talk more, putting more value on it really, because people don't realise it's as important, which we've talked about, as physical health. It is the leading cause for sickness for absenteeism in work-related stuff. So people need to be, employers, managers, teams, colleagues, we need to be keeping an eye out for each other.
And I guess as well, bosses need to be pulling their sleeves up and doing a lot more, because it's so easy when you're well, shall we say physically, mentally, you've got a team of maybe 25 people who work for you. Because you're not feeling it yourself, it's easy, I guess, to think, oh, come on, just get on with it.
Yeah, and I think that some of the barriers to doing that are, having the confidence to open up those conversations. And, one of the key messages from us today is to encourage employers to look at the Time to Change Wales website, look at the resources that are available around Time to Talk, and there are some top tips on the website around opening up those conversations. And we're really proud because in Merthyr Mind we've been working in partnership with EE based in Merthyr Tydfil, and also colleagues in Gallagher's based in Llantrisant, and we're out in those employers today spreading the message about Time to Talk. And Jane, our colleague, is over at EE running a quiz with colleagues and the workforce in that organisation, and just testing people's understanding of how to open up a conversation in the workplace.
Because everybody gets down, and everybody does, even the royal family, members of the royal family, and people like that, government ministers, Welsh government ministers, everybody gets down today. Doctors get down, it's quite normal. But I guess it's the level in which you do get down, and then it's being able to open up and say to people, look, I'm not really feeling great. I look around me every time I get up. I feel a bit, maybe, what's the word, disassociated with what's going on. I feel very lonely. And it's important then for people to maybe just, have a little pin and prick that bubble, that balloon, if you like, because of the person inside the balloon, if that makes any sense.
Totally. We've got a big message to give, is to ask twice, and to very much kind of,
do you want me to ask the question again? Joking, sorry.
We go. I think it's easy for some people to talk twice, but generally it's like kind of prodding people, asking, all right, better, right, but it's often left there, done, gone, that's it. But no, it's looking a little bit further, maybe questioning a little bit more, kind of being aware that there are ways to have these conversations, as Julian was saying, open up these conversations. We haven't all got the skills of counsellors, and we're not expected to be, but it's looking about how, when those conversations happen, how that person reacts, because we often freeze up, we don't know what to do. And simple tips would be kind of be aware of your own body language, the other person's body language, your timing. You don't want to be clock watching, notifications coming through on the phone, kind of aware that
which
person's
I
not-
guess is I was in on a course yesterday, just the other side of Bristol, and it was a self-awareness course for my particular job, but mental health came into it, and I couldn't help thinking this wouldn't have happened perhaps 5 or 10 years ago. All of a sudden now they're talking about watching out for people who might be showing signs of mental health, and they did mention youngsters as young as 7, 8, 9 who constantly got a phone, mobile phone, and you've got to question that. Is that healthy?
Yeah.
It's the art of conversation at the end of the day. They might be talking to people on the phone, probably not though. It's texting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think one of the things that Mind has done with its partners in Havel, another mental health organisation in Wales, and organisations like Rethink, really behind the Time to Change message and that anti-stigma campaign, I think has allowed us to open up a conversation about mental health. You've got Mind partnering with ITV, a big major media organisation, who are promoting that message. You kind of see the adverts in top shows, encouraging families to have conversations.
Been involved.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that has enabled us to start talking about mental health. We got the Royals heads together, those major campaigns.
I was going to say, when the future King of England gets on board, then that's a big player, isn't it? Huge player. They don't get much bigger, let's be honest.
Absolutely, and I think that has created this space to be able to come in and have a conversation about mental health, come to programs like this, talk to people, listening to this program across the valleys, and just saying it's okay to talk.
Anxiety, I guess, is a major factor, because it's all very well for people to be relaxed and happy, but they have their moments as well. But some people are kind of not physically paralysed, but paralysed mentally with anxiety. The uncertainty of life, maybe we mentioned a couple of weeks back, Wendy, about the bills coming in after Christmas, and they look at those bills and maybe it's £500-600 they got to find in 14 days. I guess we've all been there at some stage. So what's the message to them, people like that? It's a tough one, isn't it? But they can talk to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Wendy said, 1 in 4 of us will experience a mental health problem at any one time in our life, and that does include mild to moderate conditions such as low mood, anxiety, depression. What we would say from our organisation's perspective is that there's lots of services available for people experiencing anxiety. We run a range of programs across our community, and we would just ask people to kind of check out our website, look at what's available, and engage in some of our self-directed programs that are available across the valleys.
Maybe you should have t-shirts made, I suffer from anxiety, and then underneath, but I'm no different from you.
Do a big promotion. We've got our social prescribings, remember what we talked about last time, so that's a big factor when you're particularly talking about those kind of situations with debt and health. They can be kind of very directed there. And I think a good point to remember as well is that a lot of mental health problems are common and can be treated. So yes, there are services out there, and people may need signposting, but there is services out there, and there are ways. Just simply conversation is very, very powerful, and people underestimate it, really.
Now, lots of people, they don't want to go down the road of medication, so talking, I guess, is a very, very good alternative.
Absolutely, and we as Mind, we're a great believer in alternative treatments to medication. Medication does work for some people, and that would be absolutely required for some people. But there's a lot of activities out there. Partner organisations like Valley Steps delivering mindfulness sessions across the community, managing stress courses. We provide a range of psychoeducation courses, as well as self-directed support services that are available through organisations like us. And we would encourage people to understand what's going on for them in terms of their mental health, and to engage in services that are available across the community.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, back in really what Julian said, but kind of coming from an angle of self-help really as well. I think we've got to look, because even though these services are out there, and we're lucky, there are often they're subscribed, there's a waiting list, that there's gaps, isn't there? We know that there's gaps, there's voids, there's people waiting to be seen. So people have to take direct action and take responsibility for themselves on a daily, and we've got the 5 ways to connect, which is great advice really on kind of how we can help ourselves to kind of get active, get talking, get connected, learn something new, get your brain there's a lot to be said for art therapy, there's a lot to be said for just taking your mind off your thoughts, So, you know, the
So
stress
turning the
when-
negative thoughts to positive thoughts, I guess.
Well, gratitude. I mean, there's a lot being said now about people being gratitude, trying to focus every day on 3 things that you're grateful for, and kind of look at that and kind of keep that very mindful of each day, keeping yourself positive and plotting your day. 3 positive things, something positive in the morning, something positive in the afternoon. Just self-help, just to get through those times and finding that resilience in yourself.
So what's
Often
happening
works well
today then? Is this an initiative from Mind in Wales, or is it a UK initiative?
So it's a UK initiative. Mind and its partners. You know, it's a big day in the calendar, and you know, it's just promoting that message that it's time to talk. And we, you know, whilst Wendy and I've talked about access to services, sometimes, you know, if you're at home, it's just about opening up a conversation with your loved ones, your family, your friends, and reminding people and telling people that you're not feeling particularly well, and having a conversation about that.
And not being afraid to do it.
Absolutely.
Because this is most people's bugbear. They think there's such a stigma to it that they won't have these conversations. And this is something now which, you know, if you stub your toe, oh man, you know, I've just stubbed my toes bleeding, or we better get you to the GP.
Yeah.
If you say to someone, I feel down today, it's a different reaction from the parent, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think if you're exposed to that, then, you know, I just ask the subtle questions. Why are you feeling down? What is it that I can do for you? Remind people that you're there for them, and just providing that safe space, as Wendy mentioned earlier. No interruptions, cup of tea, having a conversation about what's going on for you.
And a message to men in particular, because on this course yesterday, the gentleman who took the course did say 75% of suicides are male.
That's right. Yeah. I guess some of the headline stats in Wales is that we lose around 360 people to suicide each year.
That's a lot.
It is
362 men.
Yeah. And that's registered death by suicide. We would suggest that there's probably a lot more, but yeah, 75-80% of them are men under the age of 50. And
is there an obvious reason for that?
my view, Gareth, is that, you know, it's a very complex issue. There's, you know, the Samaritans talk about socioeconomic deprivation and links to suicide, life traumas like divorce or debt issues. They all kind of contribute, and you know, this is one area that we're particularly interested in, Merthyr Mind. And we're really proud to be working and have worked over the last 2 years in partnership with local rugby clubs through our campaign that we call #ItTakesBalls2Talk, which is centred around encouraging men to talk about their mental health.
Excellent. Well, so there's a lot going on, I guess, on the Mind website, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd encourage people to look at whether it's the national website for mental health information, or even our website, which is mackay.org.uk.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, both. Thanks as always. Is there anything you wanted to add?
I was just thinking one little story, and I think it's quite relevant. No, it was what you were saying. We're talking about male mental health and talking. So there's a bit of a link. And this is a bit of a hearsay, but someone said that when the miners and when the men were mining, they used to talk a lot more underground.
Yes.
And what went on as such on tour, or what went on underneath, didn't kind of come up. But there's been kind of good evidence said that people were talking more. So it's very much about culture and when it's okay to talk and when it's not okay. So we really want to break those barriers, really, and get everyone up and out, and not kind of keep things hidden.
So I guess in some ways, instead of talking to people, they talk to themselves more.
Yeah, I think anything really that can.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, just having that conversation.
Yeah, because people got to express, and the emotions sometimes need to come out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that it's okay.
Yeah,
I think that's the main message. It's okay, and another message for other people to be aware. I think, because the flip side of it is that people can sometimes not talk too much, but people will worry and take on too much. I think people need to be aware that you don't have to fix problems, that when people do open up, and often people feel like they have to take responsibility, they don't. Just to listen is very powerful in itself, and people will often come to their own solutions and resolutions without feeling that I've got to go and help that person in a very practical way. So just listening and not to try and fix, because that can be more damaging. It's best just to let that person kind of work through their own stuff.
Can I just make a plug, Gareth?
Yeah, go on.
There's a really good organisation. The point you made earlier about men's mental health. There's an organisation that I'm involved in called Let's Talk Men's Mental Health. It's an online program that essentially offers peer support to men. And sometimes having the conversation is particularly difficult for men, but what Men's Mental Health, Let's Talk Men's Mental Health do is that they provide an online platform for men to kind of have peer conversations. And I would really encourage any men out there that are listening to this who are really struggling with their mental health just to connect with Let's Talk Men's Mental Health. Brilliant.
Well said, Julian. Time to talk. Well, after talking to you two, I feel great now. Yeah, brilliant. No, excellent. Well, Julian, John, Wendy, Mackay from Merthyr and the Valley's Mind, thanks for coming in. Good luck for the rest of the day, and come back to talk to us soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Gareth Williams on GTFM.
Thank you, Gareth. Great song.
So there we were then, talking to Julian and Wendy, and we thought we'd play this song, maybe a little bit apt as well. Talk, and It's My Life. Well, it's certainly your life. Look after it.
Oh, that was a great finish.